Today there is none.
Are you worried about Malema wearing Gucci and expensive clothes?
No, that's his choice.
That's his choice. Are you worried that they toned down on land?
The pseudo-revolutionary thinking of EFF from the beginning.
Tell me.
First, if you're saying everything, today we would have a EFF government.
It's impossible.
No, today. If EFF was serious about revolution,
means of doing otherwise. You don't.
We have a means of doing otherwise.
Yes.
You know what they say? A soldier doesn't reveal, the general doesn't reveal his plans, all of his plans.
Have you contested elections in 2024?
No, we are not going to contest election even in the next elections in 2020 something, because that is not, revolutionaries are not contesting elections. How can you contest power? Power you take, you don't contest. Because once you contest power, it means you opening the door to be bought, to become a sellout like the rest of the puppets in parliament. So
that's
we are
exactly why I'm asking. Yeah, I'm going to do what they did.
That's why we say our job, our mission is not to go to any elections, because we don't have a country. We need to have Azania. We need to build Azania must rise, South Africa must fall. Because once Azania is rise.
Are you saying all political parties in South Africa are sellout?
I'm saying all political parties who participated in elections since 1994
are sellouts.
Are sellouts, because there is no reason. If you can ask the reason why are they voting?
So they can eat.
So identifying yourself outside the people.
Wait, are you saying all political parties in South Africa are sellout?
I'm saying all political parties who participated in elections since 1994
are sellouts.
Are sellouts, because there is no reason. If you can ask the reason why are they voting?
So they can eat.
So
this guy, you do know they're going to call you a toy soldier.
And I know you're going to call me names.
No, they're going to call you a toy soldier. You know why?
One thing I can promise you: undermine us at your own peril, because we know what we're doing. We are not new in the field. We've been in the field since 2015. So imagine since 2015, talk about those things. We don't want to compensate anyone for anything. So I'm saying to you, only one thing that matters. EFF didn't do. EFF failed to do revolution, the real one. My name, as is mentioned, I General Radical Touch from RMSA, which is the abbreviation for Revolutionary Movement of South Africa. And then our goal and mission is...
Can you please speak into the mouthpiece?
Okay.
Yes, that's good.
Our goal and mission is one. We just need the liberation of our black people. We need our land back as a sense of agency, because without land, it means we don't have a country. And without a country, we cannot develop anything. Therefore, it's important that even if we want this change, the change that will start slowly, because the direction is more important than speed. At the end of the day, we need to get to the part of taking our land back. We are not talking about the politicians. They usually use the term of without compensation. I don't know what is that without compensation.
If you're comfortable with that situation, let me then adjust this so you could sit here. Sorry for the bad sound there.
Okay.
Yeah. I cannot put you as far as that's why I want it to be this way. All right, you can go.
Yeah, okay. Like I was saying, the most important thing is that we need to focus on taking back our land. We are not talking about, take a note, we are not saying it's anything that has to do with compensation or without compensation. We are not saying that. We are saying we need to take back our land, literally, because our land is more important.
Any means necessary.
By any means necessary.
What does RMSA stand for?
Okay. RMSA basically is a political movement our main focus is to liberate our people, liberate our land, give dignity back to a black child, make sure that our country is governed under African custom socialism. And the African custom socialism, we're talking about development of a nation, where the first pillar of development of a nation is to get the land back, is to take the land back, because we can only develop, any nation can only be developed when they have their own land, their own country, their own sovereignty, which is something that South Africa, as it is, South Africa is not even a country to start with. It's just a corporate of white elites. So, hence, we're saying the land first and the rest shall follow. That means what is the rest shall follow is the development of our country, development of ourselves, building the future of the indigenous people of this country, because we need the land as the first priority that will usher in all the programs that needs to be done in our lives, in our lifetime.
The acronym RMSA.
The acronym, it goes back to, again, Revolutionary Movement of South Africa. The Revolutionary Movement of the South Africa is the movement that is keen in bringing back the dignity of a black child, in short.
You want to advance it through a proper revolution.
We need to engage this into a proper revolution. Remember, revolution is not one-way stream. It has a lot of faces. So whatever that we get from the defenders of white supremacy, that means we need to meet with the same thing that they are throwing at us.
I remember there was someone was sitting here, and I asked them about the kitchen negro.
Yeah.
And I said, whenever people talk about the revolution, I get scared, and I'll tell you why I get scared.
Yes.
So, if you know, Jacob Zuma called people clever blacks.
Yes.
So, and I want to speak on their behalf. So these clever blacks are those bourgeoisies, you know, the working class people, smallanyana elitinyana, who have worked themselves to cushion themselves not to feel the full hardships of South Africa, the real hardships, the real South African. So they are cushioned a bit because they've worked hard, nyana, one degree here and there.
They're staying in the suburbs.
Yeah,
they're having they actually affording their lifestyle.
Yeah, so
I see that.
Even if they've breached Mutlagasi, Eskom and municipality don't come by them because they don't suspect they have those problems.
Because they are those.
Exactly.
They are the cleaner ones.
Yeah.
They look more like they call themselves modern people, while they are not.
So they don't experience oppression like the most downtrodden people of our society, the rank and file members of real society. They don't experience, and I want to represent that. And a lot of South Africans, we do not want to admit we are that. So let me explain. And in the modern context, I call them a kitchen nigger, because that kitchen end comes from the fact that when the oppression in the slave farms was there, there were those who were working in the kitchen, not in the sun.
Yes.
So because they were not in the field, their oppression was minimal. So if we are saying we are revolutionizing the whole farm,
Re turn upside down.
It means they'll have to leave their space in the kitchen and come and join you.
Comfortable lifestyle is ending.
Exactly. So you understand. So that's why you see other people are voting for that DA.
Yes.
Because they want what? Protection. They don't associate themselves with the rest of people who are suffering.
Okay.
That's the biggest challenge you have. You see this thing people say, if you are if you are wanting black freedom, it is the blacks who are going to oppress you first. It's the black that you're going to fight off first. Even before you get to the enemy, those are the kitchen ones at the kitchen.
They're the stumbling blocks.
Yes.
Yeah, they are the defenders of the system.
Exactly. So you spoke about the revolution. You are touching those people first. The Ramaphosas, those who are liked by the establishment. What is your plan for them?
First, let's start here. Whether you are working, as black people in particular, you are working, getting paid, we're living in suburbs. In fact, you are a house slave. Should I put it? Let's put it like that. It's a house slave.
Yes.
You are in the same pit as us, the downtrodden one. Because first of all, the system got you by everything. Some politicians used to say scrotum. They got you by that because you have to work for the system in order to sustain yourself.
True.
You have to make sure that everything that you do, you please the system. And that is something that we need to move away from. We need to change that mentality because that mentality is very wrong. Because the moment you start to embrace the system, that means you're suffering from Stockholm syndrome. You're like a chicken. When you take out all the feathers of a chicken when it's cold outside, that chicken will come running to you seeking a shelter to get warm. That thing is seeking something that can, as long as I can get warm, you're suffering from that thing. So we don't need Stockholm syndrome people to suffer from that Stockholm syndrome. So we need to move from there. Therefore, it's all about, we often say, like in Ramsa, we speak about military mind training. Military mind training, it means you need to know how. First, you need to identify where you are, your position in the society. And then, are you comfortable with where we are? Because we don't need people who are comfortable. Because once you become comfortable on your own enslavement, it becomes you become a house slave, and then we don't want that.
That's exactly. So you understand your problem is that thing of being comfortable because you want, if there's hardship, you work harder, or so you can cushion yourself outside that.
Exactly.
Yes, there are people who live in suburbs that don't have load shedding.
Exactly.
There are people who don't go to Steve Biko Academic Hospital because it's a public hospital.
But let's talk about ownership of the economy.
Now I want your plan.
Yeah.
In circumventing these people or recruiting them.
All right.
To relinquish their softness, because this is soft life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we are not going to do, we are not going to make them feel uncomfortable. We are only going to reveal the truth that being a house slave is worse than being a field slave. Because now you're doing a dirty job for your master. So we need to move from that. And by moving from that mentality, first of all, you need to seek what we call opulence, self-sufficient. When you are self-sufficient, you don't have a pressure or anything that will drive you to go look for a job, to start compiling a CV. Then because you are self-sufficient, we need to create what we call Black Wall Street. Why can't we do that? It's possible. All we need to do to create that Black Wall Street, that means it's black economic power. Because we cannot be black and beautiful, yet we are not black and powerful.
For journalistic balance, and I'm happy you understand that this is not an interview. We don't have pre-planned questions and stuff. So in Marikana, they wanted those people. Those people wanted 14,000.
Yes.
Or maybe 12, I can't remember.
They wanted 12.5.
Yes, and those guys, they were willing to sit it out for weeks at end. So we spoke, I was in unions at the time. We spoke, what is it that makes us, the rest of South Africans, to hold a stand and say this is what we want? it's of course the bonds that we live in. It's because the car insurances. It's because yes, all these things. Because the system is designed to stranglehold you, so you don't you don't do anything. Wabon. So
Yes.
I want you to explain how are you going to because the danger that you are running into, you are going to run into the EFF problem. You have shown everyone these are the problems of South Africa.
Yes.
Then how do we solve them?
All right. First, let's tell you about RMSA government.
Yes.
Our plan. Our plan is, you see, we have a lot of natural mineral resources in this country. So we believe that when we start the government, 40% of anyone from, especially a foreigner from outside, from west or east, coming to do business in South Africa, 40% of his business must go to the people. 20% of his business, again, from that 60% he has, must go to the government. Because here we are talking about the government, not the state.
Please, don't.
Okay.
So, let's say he's a Zimbabwean living in South Africa. His turnover in profits in July 2024, he made $1 million. He takes 200,000, he gives it to the state, and then 200,000, he gives it to the community.
Okay, let's put it this way. Remember, you come into my own territory.
Yes.
You want to do business in my own territory.
Yes.
In order for you to have a successful business, you need consumers. And you need to pay the people you found in that territory, because those people, they are your host. You are a visitor.
I don't want you to make it complicated.
No, I don't want to. I want to
Yes.
come it on hand.
Sure.
I want to bring it slowly to you.
Sure.
Look, when you come and do business into my territory, I don't think taking the whole 60 or 80% home is fair to the people to the indigenous people, because you are using their land. By the fact that you're using their land, it means you are using their own heritage. That heritage needs to be compensated. Therefore, that's why 40% of your business, your entire business, 40% of it belongs to the people. And then 20% of it belongs to the government, so that the government can be able to make sure that they push their development within the country for the indigenous people. Because the important thing is, you cannot come and then make mess in my own country. Who's going to fix it when you left? That 20% must fix it. And then if you come with your own stories, the government and the people will buy you out, chase you out and leave your company. And that company will be run by the government and the people. Simple as that. Then that is fair deal, because by so doing, we won't have a problem with education. We won't have a problem with health issues, like your hospitals, building your institutions. Let's just put it this way. Building economic institutions, we won't have a problem with building school institutions and so forth. So, but at the end of the day, you cannot come to my country and expect to live with 80 or 100% profit.
So I'm going to try another example.
Okay.
It's a Pakistani shop or Somalian shop.
Yes.
Give me an example of how you would want it to operate.
First, let's ask one question. How did they enter this country?
Illegally.
To be able to establish the shop.
Illegal.
You cannot come to my house using your back door and still want to benefit from my economy. That is a crime on its own. Therefore, we need to do things correct way. Just like in African migrants. Yes, we are brothers, we are black, we are one, we are Pan-Africanism. However, territory must be respected. When you come to my house, to my territory, respect my territory, therefore we can be able to work together. So spaza shops can be something for people who are visiting our territory, our country.
In the government that you guys envisage as RMSA, you do not see that you can work with spaza shops owned by people who are not South Africans.
Convenience stores are indeed needed, but
not them.
They can. You can convenience store. Anyone in South Africa can run a convenience store as long as the government is willing to support.
Hair salons,
similar. Those are convenience. Those are shops that the locals can run.
Petrol attendant,
similar.
A waiter,
similar. So why should we squeeze
security jobs
as well? Because remember, in the RMSA government, security jobs, I don't see them will be so much of it, because we will bring back what we called death row. Death penalty will come back, because you cannot kill somebody and then you go for a trial. Next thing they tell you that you have a life sentence. Why would you have a life sentence while you kill somebody? If you kill, you have to take a hike as well, die as well. Eye for an eye. Then that's how you're going to control the crime the crime that is happening here, especially violent crimes. Because currently, the reason why we are here today is because the government of today, which we call it these days, they call it government of national uncertainty. I should put it that way, because they don't even know why they are there. Some are clowning in the parliament the whole day. They expect us to take them serious, and then we cannot do that. These people must take us serious. It has been 400 years under this servitude. Therefore, we need to change the narrative and the mentality of our people. You see.
So let's talk about those that were clowning in Parliament at the expense of the taxpayers.
Yes.
Everything you say seems to be aligning with the Red Berets. Besides the fact of how you view borders.
Yes.
Why didn't you join them and convince them not to let to keep our borders? What is your ideological position? If you look at their cardinal pillars, what is your ideological position that makes you not to join them?
All right. First, EFF, I happen to be one of those people who were part of it in the initial stage, but I decided not to continue with EFF because the way the leadership of EFF is not a Pan-Africanist. They are just bourgeoisie masquerading as some people who are fighting for something which I don't know what is it. Since they changed the first pillar. The first pillar is the reason why most of the people who were conscious enough left. Because once you change the first pillar and say that first pillar should be people must fight for a dumping area, that doesn't make sense at all. Because in order for you to develop a nation, you need the land. Currently, we don't have a land. South African indigenous people in South Africa own 4% of the land. 4%.
Are you
majority.
saying EFF failed on their biggest pillar?
No, they just sold it out. They just sold out.
How have they sold out? Because they don't even have means of controlling policy from outside.
It's not about means of controlling policy. EFF has a lot of people following them. They had a lot of membership. They should use their membership. They should use their membership to change everything. Instead, they go and buy Gucci's. They getting paid, buy Gucci, life is good. They clown in the parliament, so can't take such serious. Even now, our current parliamentarians, they're all clowns. They are there to get paid and go home. 95,000 rands in their pocket. What else can they do? They go and buy their nice stuff, enjoy themselves. Because our poverty doesn't affect them. Take an example. Remember during COVID-19 pandemic, that fake COVID-19.
O ska e bea ka mantswe a sekgowa.
Oh.
O ka no e bitsa gore ke sekhuba.
Sekhuba sela sa maaka se ne ntse ba batla gore o re bolaya ka sona. She ba re ba entseng.
O ka bolela ka sekgowa mara o fitla da. Batho ba ba lwa man.
Look at what they did, this puppets in parliament. The country was closed. They got paid in full. They enjoy their packs. What about the poor people, the ordinary people? What they get?
Laid off.
They laid off. They were retrenched. Most of them, they were retrenched from their jobs. And the others were given 350, which they fight for. Not everyone was getting that 350. I don't know what is this 350 for. The same government, they chowed 500 billion rands in 3 months. Where is accountability? None. Instead, they clowning around. They're treating the downtrodden people like dead. But ba puwa ba phidiswa boima ka baka la mang? They signed an agreement, they signed laws in that what we call parliament. Parliament is an august house, is an imperialist house. So you're signing an agreement in an imperialist house that you are going to get paid. You are going to clown around. As long as you lie to the public, you keep clowning. At the end of the day, what happened?
So the
poverty continue. Inequality continue, load shedding continue, because someone wants to benefit by selling SOE. Nothing has changed. Look at what is happening today in our streets. We used to see people working, putting fixing streets, pavements on the road. Today there is none.
Are you worried about Malema wearing Gucci and expensive clothes?
No. That's his choice.
That's his choice. Are you worried that they toned down on land?
I'm only worried that they are clowning in the parliament instead of addressing the serious issues of bread and butter. The land equation is not being attended even today.
Do you not want to blame those who are in power? Because they are not in power. EFF is not in power.
No one is in power. Black people are not in power. They are stooges in parliament. They are masquerading as they are in power, but they are not. They are just puppets getting paid to carry out the white liberal agenda. So I'm not worried about that. I'm only worried about the poor people who believe these puppets. Because now we are glued on TV as if everything is fine. Nothing is fine.
It worries me because what then do we do? Because I told you, the problem with the revolution, it almost happened in July.
Exactly.
Yes, it almost happened in July. There was a spark. But the intelligence had to identify the people that earmarked them as instigators. And they removed them from the society, so they can quell the start of a revolution. Arab Spring starts this way. That's what I'm saying. Then what do we do from now?
The revolution is not something that will be televised or be told or to something that is going to be done because of somebody's feeling like, no, I failed in my political lifestyle. No. A revolution is like a wind, it blows slow, gradually gaining momentum until it becomes a tsunami.
It's been 30 years.
It's been 30 years. Because why it has been 30 years? We had a government that looks like us. We thought that they were representing us, while they were just a puppeteering under the hands of another puppet master. So now our eyes are open. We can see the truth. We need to confront the situation. So revolution, when we talk about revolution is a program that is well coordinated. You cannot just stand up tomorrow and start looting shops and then say, no, we are in the revolution.
It's an unled revolution,
that is not a
possibility in South Africa.
That is not a revolution. When you loot shops, it's not a revolution. But you need to be organized properly. You need to know what you want. Because what's the use of looting shops, burning stuff? Next thing, the same people you're fighting for, they're the ones who's going to continue with the leadership. Revolution, it means change.
That's why I told you it scares us.
It's change of everything. That means you change from government, every institution, everything. In fact, you start from scratch. That is revolution.
It's a reset button.
It's a reset button.
So you believe there can't be an unled revolution? Because if the revolution is led, it's a coup d'etat.
Either is a coup d'etat or not, but the people, when they want their things to change, there must be someone giving direction to that. That revolution must have someone who's leading it. Like in Cuba, we can speak about Cuba. Fidel Castro led the revolution.
And he led it hoping to sustain it.
Mm-hmm.
And was it sustained?
It was sustained.
Did they get economic prosperity?
Exactly, they did. Because if you can check, Cuba, we have a lot of doctors. We have very special doctors with a different type of skills to come and then do that. But Cuba, even today, they are living their own lives without interruptions. So the only difference with us and Cuba is that black people, they were dispossessed of their land. We are a nation without a country.
Do you think there's no racism in Cuba?
I'm not sure about racism.
Do you think there's no classism in Cuba?
I'm not sure about that as either, because, usually I don't like dwelling in other countries' programs, because mine is we're still really in the hole, and then we are sinking even further. So that's why it's important for us to focus mainly on us, because we are not going to have a future generations in the way we are going. We are not. Because the future generations, if we can see even today, they are not doing what the future people are supposed to do. Like, for instance, let's look at our schools.
Yeah.
We have a school where there is no sports, no activities. Kids are going to school, 2 o'clock they are back home. The next thing they are all on the street. They are all on the street doing what, God knows what. Some of them, they even smoke this nyaupe. They get coerced into smoking nyaupe. You see.
I'm looking for ways of you doing things differently from everyone who came before you. Have you contested elections in 2024?
No, we are not going to contest election even in the next elections in 2020 something, because that is not, revolutionaries are not contesting elections. How can you contest power? Power you take, you don't contest. Because once you contest power, it means you opening the door to be bought, to become a sellout like the rest of the puppets in parliament. So
that's
we are
exactly why I'm asking, are you going to do what they did?
That's why we say our job, our mission is not to go to any elections, because we don't have a country. We need to have Azania. We need to build Azania must rise, South Africa must fall. Because once Azania has risen, there's no need to have South Africa. That means we now have a country to call home. Currently, we have no country to call home. We are just slaves roaming around in a white man corporate called South Africa.
Mogoeng said he's going to be the president of South Africa. He doesn't want to enter active politics. God gave him in a vision that he's going to lead South Africa. And I'm one of those who stood here, even made a podcast to say, whatever he wants is not going to happen, because reality doesn't work on wishes. I'm an empirical man. I'm a realistic man. There was no way Mogoeng was going to be the president. He said he was going to be the president, that man. So I don't want you to do what Mogoeng is doing. To say you don't want to contest elections, but you are going to top how?
Like I said, let me reiterate the point. We are the revolutionists. And revolutionists, we like a wind. We blow smooth, soft, gentle, until it becomes a tsunami. Therefore, a tsunami, what is the tsunami does?
It takes over.
It takes over and then turn everything upside down. I hope you understand where I'm going.
I understand, but I don't want you to speak in terms. You know, there's a beef song now. These young guys are calling it, they're not like us. Yeah, they're telling us this is one of the best beef songs ever. It's a diss song. But if you listen to that song, it has a lot of, mysteries. You have to listen to this. You have to be living in USA to understand this. I don't want that. I want you to tell people exactly what does RMSA going to do.
But I said it. RMSA government is going to give our people 40% of the economy. 20% go to the government. We are going to give power to our landlord, our kings. Our kings are the landlords
at home.
They are our landlords, the kings. Those are the people who are going to have what we need to tell them straight, kings, you need to organize yourself. We need a king's council. You are going to be the state's owner as the custodian of the land of this country.
In the comments line, what are the people going to say? They are going to ask us, so who is this? The government is going to take 20%. Who's going to take this 20%? You know what they're going to say? They're going to say, Bailofa Mautimo Strate.
No.
So, the protection fee.
No, that 20% is going to go to our African, our Azanian central bank. And then that central bank will work
to the state.
No. Remember, that central bank is not going to be privatized like South African Reserve Bank. This will be the central bank of the Azania. Whatever program that the government wants to implement, if you want to go to the rural areas to extract, to start extracting, or let's say building water infrastructure, we are going to do that. We're going to build from there. We want to make sure that we need to make sure that our people have the best service ever. That's why people are going to own 40% of the businesses, entire businesses in the whole country. Not only one business, anyone who's going to be running the business in this country.
Even South Africans?
Even South Africans. Because remember, we are a nation.
Do you not think we are paying enough on taxes?
No, we are not going to talk about tax. It has nothing to do with tax.
Remember, taxation may not come in a way that it says it's tax going to SARS.
Yeah.
A form of taxation at the back of my mind is something that I'm forced to pay, and if I don't pay, I get penalized.
Exactly.
There's a lot of red tape to conduct business. You have to pay CIPC. You need to pay SARS. I mean, you have to pay a commercial bank for them to tell the owners that bid, indeed this guy does business with me. Even if I don't make him money, I have to pay all of those people. That's enough red tape for people who want to conduct business in South Africa. Do you not want them to be relaxed and feel?
Now we are talking about the system, the white supremacy capitalist system. But this side, the Ramsay government, we are talking about ownership of the businesses, of the economy. We are going to say, we are not talking about tax. If the government has 20% of your business, and then 40% and the people own 40% of a business, there is no one paying tax there.
So you are saying, in other words, if I make $1 million a month in profit, I'm going to have to take
400,000. It's yours. 20.
No, it means I take 600,000.
200,000, it goes to the government.
The other
and
goes
then
to the people.
400,000, it goes to the People's Bank. And then you take only 40. Why would you take too much money out of?
You are saying, in other words, you are taking 60% away.
Exactly. 60%.
I even thought you were taking 40.
No, not 40. 60. You must live with 40. Take it or leave it. It's either you do the business or you don't. We don't beg you to do business with us.
So what's your ideological position on the political spectrum? Are you the communist, leftist? Are you socialist?
No. Those are the Western narrative. Socialism, communism.
Yes.
Capitalists. Those are the Karl Marx. Your Karl Marx of this world.
Those are means of.
So we are not the Karl Marx of this world. We are Africans. We are using what we call African-centered theologies. That means we are the Pan-Africanism, and the nationalism is what we're pushing. We are the nationalists. Therefore, anything that benefits our people must remain within the grasp of our people. Simple as that. So we're doing what we call, we do a race first. We put our race ahead of anyone else. We're putting us ahead of anyone else. We're putting Azanians as the custodian of their own destiny, their own future. Their pride must be retained. We cannot be a government that is against the people. If the people doesn't
frame of reference here. Yeah. Here's a scenario.
Yeah.
You are a RMSA ward councillor.
Yeah.
You have 10,000 in your kitty. There's a funeral.
Yeah.
First house is an African house. Second house is an Indian. The third house is a white family.
We are not talking about minority. We are talking about the national government. We are going to have a national language where
let me finish so you can answer me.
Oh, okay.
You are a ward councillor of RMSA.
Yeah.
You've got 10,000. And you need a funeral, and those 3 families need a funeral, or there's a disaster, whatever the circumstance may be.
Yeah. Okay.
Who are you going to prioritize? Are you going to take that 10,000 and break it into 3 so the both needy families get the money, or you're just going to take that 10,000, you give it to the African family?
Then the minister who's dealing with, there will be people's conferences in our areas. We are not going to have councillors. The people who are going to run those communities, it will be the Indunas. There will be a king and his council. Each and every king must have his own people running the things.
You are going to replace local government with Indunas.
We are going to replace local government with Indunas, with kingdoms. Kings must run these things, must run local governments.
You know how many kings are in South Africa now?
We know how many kings, but those kings, some of them, they were put there by the apartheid Boers, apartheid government. So we are still going to ask them to consolidate that information, make sure that people who are supposed to be ruling, they are the rightful people. Because other people were just parachuted into those. That's why I'm saying there is still, you know what, there is still a lot of work to be done.
The reason I'm asking you all of this question is I want myself and those who need to support you together, so we follow you where you go and we understand you.
Exactly.
South Africans need to understand something before they support it. So let me give an example. The current system, and I want you to use it as a frame of reference, and so we use this as a benchmark. So a ward councillor will be an Induna.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Exactly.
And then a mayor and his executive team would be what? Kihoro.
Yeah. This is our, remember, the RMSA, we are not going to sustain or uphold this system. We are going to eradicate the system.
Exactly.
We need to get rid of the system. We need African-centered system.
I just need to understand it. Let's say in villages it might work, but here, how are we going to make it work in big cities?
In big cities, again, each and every South Africa cities are not isolated from the rural areas. That's why there is kings rule everywhere.
Then in provincial structures, how are you going to do it?
Landlords, the kings, landlords. So if you're saying to me, government, national government as well, it will be executive here. Remember, government, it has 3 pillars. It has executive, judiciary, and legislature. There will be people representing on metros, in provincial structures. But in the rural areas, we don't want politicians to run the rural areas in the government.
So in In metropolitan areas?
In metropolitan areas, politicians will be running the metropolitan areas.
Do the politicians report to the chiefs, kings, or do they report to?
The politicians will report to King's Councils.
King's Council will then be replacing a mayor and his executive?
No, King's Council will be replacing the national government. That means we won't have a president. The president will be a king because he's a landlord. He's a permanent person, not current system. So the people who are going to be running, the politicians, if I should put that way, they will be your prime ministers. We must have a prime minister that will be running business. Because the country, remember, the country is a business. So if you're running a government, is a business. If you're running a government, you need to have executive.
So I've read the MK Party manifesto. I don't want to say you took a leaf of it. You just took the whole manifesto.
I didn't read
and I read it.
I have no idea what they write.
And I read it. So you want a system where we go back to
our indigenous way of doing things.
Yeah, traditional leadership, and so the traditional authority can come into place.
Exactly.
And you want to replace this Roman Dutch law. Precisely. And you want to do away with elections.
Exactly.
You want capitalism to fall.
Precisely.
I named 3 things that are pipe dreams. And this is why I love MK.
Yeah.
They give you things that you think, this thing is not possible. So you think all of these things are possible that we spoke about?
Yeah, everything is possible. There's nothing impossible. As long as the sun is still rising from the east to the west, that means nothing has changed. It's our mentality, our mindset needs to change. We need to adapt a new way of thinking.
It's part of your strategy, and I understand you cannot tell me the questions that I want to ask you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you what other things do you want, and dwell less on how are you going to do it, unless you are free to tell me how you are going to do it, because I've been trying to milk answers from you. I see you are very evasive. What else do you want to do?
No, I'm not evasive. I'm giving you what you're supposed to know, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, provinces will collapse.
Yeah.
We are going to have a South Africa where we do not have blue lights.
Unless if you can produce it, you can have what you can produce. You cannot have what you cannot produce. If you can produce blue lights, you're gonna have it. If you cannot produce blue lights, then what's the reason of having a blue light? Are you important? Are you that important than an ordinary person? No, we must be all equal. If we talk about equality, it means we want to have someone who's having billions in his couch or in his house or in his account, while others have nothing. That is not equality.
Lumumba and Thomas Sankara were taken out by
the CIA.
Yeah, by triggers coming from within them, sponsored by international foreigners.
Yes.
Because what they wanted for their countrymen was good for their countrymen, but was not good for the oppressor.
The oppressor.
Do you want to give us your obituary before you go? Because they will come for you.
Okay. My obituary. Okay.
They're not happy with the things you do.
Look, either way, if we don't stand up, that means we are comfortable in our enslavement. So we cannot be people who are afraid and remain comfortable. We are actually betraying our children. We're betraying our forefathers. We are betraying us as a nation. We need to be angry, actually. We are not angry enough. We need to be pissed that there are people who are still sleeping in the shacks. There are still people who are not drinking clean water. We need to be very furious about that. South Africa is very rich.
You understand that was a choice?
Yeah. No, it's not a choice.
People were given a choice for the rest of the country to drink clean water or have red wine for themselves. And they chose red wine.
No, people were never given a choice.
No, they were given a choice.
Because people were...
Who's controlling water in South Africa?
The water is still under the hands of the colonial rules.
It's not.
It's privately owned, our water. Just like our dams. We have dams who are privately owned. Do you know that?
It's not. They were given, those people.
By who?
I don't want us to dwell on it.
No, but by who?
I want us to have a conversation.
All right,
I don't
it's
want
fine.
it to be confrontational.
Okay, it's fine.
Everything you see in South Africa, it was negotiated, and the powers that be, ANC in particular, used us to negotiate these powers that they have, these temporary powers, to say, these waters you can have, farms you can have. They negotiated.
But that's not negotiations. It's compromise. So there is a difference between negotiating and compromising. Therefore, ANC didn't negotiate with anyone. ANC was handpicked because ANC didn't have majority. They were handpicked by the Rupert and the Oppenheimers and the BS in 1979 to 1980 until 1983. They had the secret meetings where they drafted the way of bringing in the black rule in 1994, but keep all the economic power and land in their hands. But the only thing that ANC got out of whatever negotiations that they were, or whether there's negotiations or whether they were just having a good time because they didn't even had suits to wear. They were bought suits by the same people who supposedly supposed to be giving them power. So those guys, they didn't negotiate for anything. They were told, this is what we are giving you. You're running that's why they failed to do one thing. You know, when you negotiate, the first thing that you do when you go into the government, you go and take what we call government register of assets. You know, assets register of the government. Did the ANC took that thing? They couldn't even take the one in the municipalities. So all those things were taken by the people who were working in the old government, during apartheid government. They took all those things, those assets. ANC left with nothing. That's why they destroyed our schools, especially the skills development schools like the manpower. You remember we had manpower where people were learning jobs, hand works. They can't sustain. They brought in CETA. CETA for what? CETA doesn't even have a school of skills development. People don't learn skills development there. We only chasing a paper, useless paper, and after that what? You need to go to do what we call internship. Internship for what? That means you go to school to go and do a practical. They pay you a slave stipend for that. After that, you get a job. That job, you're getting a slave salary. So the cycle of insanity continue. So we don't want that.
I disagree with you, but I don't want it because I realize it's issues of semantics. But I'm telling you, they were negotiated out. You say when they were cornered. It's the same thing, but
and I remember Rolf Meyer said he took one of ANC negotiators to a farm. Helicopter. The guy was so fascinated, he didn't even remember what was supposed to say when he gets there.
He went trout fishing, go Dalstrom, he was impressed. And then but principally what I'm saying to you is there is nothing that was not presented to them. It was presented to them, they liked it. That is why you see that people like, I don't want to say his name.
Don't say names.
Those say names because, and then they go and tell YouTube to cancel my stuff. There are people who took us out. But these people are still being paid by this government.
Exactly.
So when people are sitting here, they're listening to you, they say, okay, this guy is angry. It's like ANC and APLA before in the 80s. Once he gets into power, up under the blue light, he's going to say, don't worry about this. But let me not digress.
No, but
you've got more Africa.
Yeah.
Given an opportunity in the government of national unity to take charge of the land.
Yeah.
Are you convinced that PAC will champion what they want to champion on the land because they are guarded by DA and ANC. Is that position given to the PAC? The president, by the way, of PAC. He abandoned UAT and he abandoned AZAPU. Maybe he's going to hire people of AZAPU to come and implement the thing that you want. My worry is I don't see him succeeding. And I always want to question myself, say, and I'm going to think, 5 years ago,
Okay.
do you think it was a setup? Do you think he should not have taken it? Or do you think he thought for his food and took it even if he knew it's a mission impossible?
Let me tell you something. Black people, they don't have, especially politicians, they don't have confidence on themselves. Number one. Politicians, our black politicians, they are just pure sellouts. Because the first thing, let's look at the GNU. GNU is not our original package or original ideology of government. It was established by Johann Rupert and Oppenheimer and other rich people. What was the purpose? To destroy the left politics.
But there's nothing that changed fundamentally from the GNU with what was discussed in the 80s when Van Zyslabert brought what they called the communists back into South Africa. There's nothing that changed.
The issue is not about, the system doesn't want change.
Do you understand why I don't trust you?
No,
not trust. I'm using the wrong word.
Yeah.
Do you understand why I don't see why you will succeed? I don't see why you will succeed because the EFF has done possibly everything that a South African, that an African can be proud of.
Okay, let me correct you there. EFF hasn't done anything that we can be proud of. Not everything.
With what they have.
No, they haven't. This is something that I questioned the pseudo-revolutionary thinking of EFF from the beginning.
Tell me.
First, if you're saying everything, today we would have a EFF government.
It's impossible.
No, today. If EFF was serious about revolution, today we would be saying Julius Malema is a president of South Africa.
Are you blaming the EFF for people not to vote for EFF?
No, I'm not talking about votes here. No, I'm not talking about votes here. I want you to listen to understand me correctly. I'm not talking about votes and blaming anyone. I'm saying what needs to be done on the 13th July 2013 was implemented, today we would have a different government, and that government will be led by EFF. EFF had a power.
Take me through.
EFF had a power. Even today they still have a power for to implement the revolution. But because of the pegs of the Parliament, of August House, is blocking them going forward with anything. So they've been talking. Yeah, talking is good. They were talking a lot. Threatening everyone.
The same way we are talking. No, that's what I'm saying.
No, not the same way. Remember?
Yes.
EFF was talking a lot. Contradicting themselves. Talking a lot of stuff. But the only one thing that matters, EFF didn't do. EFF failed to do revolution. The real one. You see?
I'm still lost. And because I want you to tell me things, you're not telling me things.
No, but I'm telling you.
No,
you're having
code words.
No, it's not code words.
What did the EFF
That's why I don't like talking about EFF too much, because
yes, don't talk about them. Talk about what they did not do.
What they did not do is to implement revolution. Because if you do not implement revolution, and yet you have capacity to do so, that means you betray the black agenda struggle.
So you believe on 2013 EFF had capacity?
Even today.
They have capacity?
They have. They have capacity even today. But because of they are captured.
But I told you at the beginning of this interview.
They cannot do anything.
Because I knew it is a stumbling block. I told you, once you eat, once you know how red wine tastes,
then you're going to divert.
And then people will tell you, just go and spend time in the bushes, and we only drink water for time that we do not know. You know, one of the most wasted time of our struggle was how MK spent time in the bushes telling themselves that they are training while they were not doing anything. Another thing I want to tell you is it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
During the hard lockdown, do you know how many Africans, I don't want to talk about white people, how many Africans were seriously, and we thought it's jokes in social media when we saw it on WhatsApps and stuff, how seriously they could not live without liquor. They chopped pineapples, they did stuff just so they can produce liquor.
Yes, very true.
So, comrades were speaking about that time to say, do you think these people are ready for a civil war, a toppling of the... You know, the things that we have now, stop us from wanting a change. Because I told you, the slave, the house slaves.
Yeah.
You are telling me, you want me to leave all of these things. You want me to leave all of these things. And I told you I'm going to speak on behalf of the guys who don't want to admit. Or now we are swallowed by the system. You want me to leave all of these things and pretend I want to go and spend time 16 years, maybe minimum, in the bush. Because, guys, play to Oscar Nyajanto. As papadi.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. The people who stop you, Ramsa, from having a revolution is those guys at the kitchen, the house slaves. Because I don't want to relinquish my comfort. Because I've worked hard so I can shield myself and my family.
Don't worry about those guys, because there is a program that will change their mind. So I want to remind you of something. Just on the sixth Parliament, Groenewald, I don't know his name. What is his name?
Yeah, Groenewald. It can't be this. It has to be the fifth administration.
No.
When he was threatening with Julius or no, it can't be in the list.
He repeated it.
Or maybe he repeated, but that footage is a long...
Yeah, but that man, he was telling us on our face that if we want land, we better be prepared to go to war. That's what he said.
Yes.
He was actually threatening a war to black people if they want their land.
Do you know why they do it?
See? So now, are you saying, we're telling you now, we're saying, we, the revolutionary movement of South Africa, we are going to change the South Africa party to Azania. Because right now we need to identify ourselves with our people. Are you saying, when we're saying we want to take back our land, we don't want land without compensation. We don't talk about those things. We don't want to compensate anyone for anything. So I'm saying to you, we want to take back our land by any means necessary.
I don't want to speak about Bukutu Carnival.
Yeah.
Do you know why APLA and MK and other underground operators could not topple South Africa? Besides the fact that South African Defence Force is very strong. It's because they were not only fighting this minority whites in South Africa. They were actually fighting international communities that protected them. So whatever you want, Groenewald says it.
Because he has
Elon Musk will listen to them. He says, hey, now we don't have grapes. Why? African people chopped all the grapes in Stellenbosch. He will believe them without even asking. You understand what I'm saying?
No, but I hear
They have international protection. They will never listen to you. The same way they listen to them.
We will have friends.
The reason we can't topple this economy is because you are not only fighting this minority.
I know.
We've got numbers. We've got resources. The reason we are still in political majority, well, now our people are voting with
the enemy.
Yeah, Stockholm syndrome is there. So all I'm telling you, it's not a fluke of history. There's serious manipulation. Tell me of any political party, even if they lie to you, tell me of any political party currently in South Africa that went to the elections that was not given money by white establishments.
That we know.
Exactly.
All the
Even the ones
puppets.
who are fighting with us.
All the puppets were funded.
No. All political parties were funded. They will. South Africa is one of those countries that it's unfortunately maybe all over the world. It's very difficult for me. Someone's going to say, "Oh, Mashan, you don't have proof of that." Of course, I don't have proof.
But no, I have proof.
You have
because
proof?
Yeah, I have proof because those people were send out their invoices. In fact, not actually their invoices.
I'm saying. So I'll start with MK, ANC, EFF, all the parties that stand with us as African people. They were given money by white people.
True.
Yeah. So I'm saying to you, I mean, the system is so rigged that it doesn't allow you to wake up.
Fortunately,
yes.
Fortunately, we are able to go and speak to the people, and the people listen. And people, I don't think currently people are not happy with the current situation. Are not happy at all, because you cannot be happy when you are still hungry.
Do you think elections were rigged?
Elections were rigged since 1994. Since 1994, the elections were rigged. I don't know why today people act surprised. It has been rigged since 1994.
So, do you have means of doing otherwise? You don't.
We have a means of doing otherwise.
Yes.
You know what they say? A soldier doesn't reveal. The general doesn't reveal his plans. All of his plans.
Okay, General, I've come to the end of the podcast. Yeah. I want you to take every caption that you came with, the thing that you think we did not discuss and you want, you feel they're so important to share with our people. Please unleash and give it to them.
All right. The South Africans, the Azanians. I want you from today, we need to call ourselves Azanians because that is the name we need to be familiar with. Because South Africa hated us from birth. So today we're still struggling thanks to South Africa. So this is a corporate of white supremacists. So we need to move away from that and organize ourselves as black people. I know change is not easy, it's difficult and it's painful. But the results going forward, I can assure you, you're going to be happy about it. I'm tempted to ask you
questions when you are closing, but I'm feeling, let me just hold one. Do you think PAC is sold out by joining Government of National Unity? As a Pan-Africanist, are you disappointed with them?
Let me rephrase that one.
Yeah.
All political parties in legislature, regional, what do you call it, municipality level, and national, they are all sellouts. So once you start to join the system, you identifying yourself outside the people.
Wait, are you saying all political parties in South Africa are sellouts?
I'm saying all political parties who participated in elections since 1994
are sellouts.
Because there is no reason. If you can ask the reason why are they voting?
So they can eat.
So then it means someone has to pay them to eat.
Okay.
And who are they?
Continue.
The poor must suffer. All right. I want to bring some other important things to our attention. Do you know that your birth certificate is used by the government to borrow money from IMF and World Bank as a security? That's why South Africa, a corporate, is registered at New York Stock Exchange and London Stock Exchange, so that when they need money, they borrow money against your original birth certificate, because the ones that we have in our houses is a copy. The original one is a big one. That one is the one that gives the government the money which they loot, they misuse, they do whatever they do without giving you services. Therefore, I'm saying let's move away from this traditional way of doing politics. Let's focus and follow what RMSA is doing. We are not asking you to join. We are saying support.
How big is RMSA?
RMSA,
if you don't want to reveal much, it's okay.
Remember, RMSA is not a political party. It's a political movement.
That's what I'm saying. How big is it?
So, like I said before, General doesn't really reveal all its plans.
Let me allow you to close. The more you speak,
All
the
right.
more I get tempted to ask you questions because people are saying Mashian is too light on this guy.
Yeah.
You do know they're going to call you a toy soldier.
And I know you're going to call me names.
No,
It's
they're going to
fine.
call you a toy soldier. You know why?
I know.
They disagree with you.
Though,
Because that word is used when people disagree with you.
that word is used by those people who have a little mind,
Even if they
small-minded
disagree
people.
with you,
Yeah, small-minded
they're
people.
going to cast words out to you, not to encourage you and to discourage others from supporting you. They're going to
All right.
call you names because you are doing something that they are not used to.
And I'm doing something that they're afraid of.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let me put it this way. Insulting us as Ramsa for helping you to be liberated is okay. You have a right to do so. You have a right to speak ills about whatever that you feel you disagree with, especially those bourgeoisie and those house slaves.
Those are the
defenders of white supremacy system.
Status quo.
Yeah, those are the people. So we don't have a problem. You can call us whatever names that you want, but one thing I can promise you: undermine us at your own peril. Because we know what we're doing. We are not new in the field. We've been in the field since 2015. Mm-hmm. So imagine since 2015, what were we doing? Let that be your homework before you start casting aspersions about things you don't know. So our government, which we are planned and then is everything is documented. There is nothing that is not documented. We are not going to do the traditional way of doing things. Our mission is simple. We will take over this country, whether you like it or not, but not through ballots.
Okay, thank you very much. Look, well, South Africans, I want you to tell me, so you're not self-made, but you live in an estate, you drive your German car, and you are so comfortable because you worked hard to gain the thing that you have. He's asking you to forget all of those things. He's asking you to say, there's a better way, let's go and struggle. What is it that you are doing? Because it is at that essence. I also include myself in that.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not as rich as them.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I understand why they will sponsor other African people against you. Mashiane, politically incorrect. Thank you. Tell us your views.
Yeah.
General, thanks for coming.
But
Thank you.
it worth it.